Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Mama's Legacy podcast. It's me, and I'm joined here with Jordan. What's up, Jordan?
Hey, what's up?
Long time no see, but you're finally back on the pod, and we have a bunch to talk about tonight. And we're going to start off with the Mavs and Clippers. The Mavs shot less than 35% last game, and now they've lost 106 to 81, and the series is tied. Where do you see the rest of the series going, man?
I do think the Clippers are going to win that series. Ty Lue has figured out that Patrick Beverly can't play in this series, and Zubac can't play a lot in this series either. So the Clippers have figured some things out, and then amazing performances, obviously, by Kawhi and PG. So now Luka gets an extra day to rest, so I do think that'll help him out. And Mavericks could potentially take one more game in this series, but I do see the Clippers ultimately winning.
So, me personally, I think it's going to come down to this next game because the Clippers took two games and then they figured it out. The Mavs, if they can figure out how to counter the Clippers counter, I think the Mavs have a really solid shot. I think they're at least. I think if they win this next game, I think it's still kind of over for the Clippers. I don't think they win two in a row against the Mavs after they've had time to think it over. But another big thing is Kristaps Porzingis is playing like hot garbage. And
Yep.
he needs to step up if they have a shot to win. Because right now, I mean, let's be honest, I'd rather have Boban in the game than Porzingis. I mean, Boban's slow and uncoordinated, but the
Yeah,
man can at least get rebounds.
that's true. The only problem with Boban is on defense. He's pretty slow on defense. So
I mean, is Kristaps much better?
that is true. Neither are very good, but it's gonna be really interesting how they manage that. I do think Porzingis, just because of Porzingis's shooting,
He's not shooting well.
he's not shooting well, but at the end of the day, he's still a threat to space the floor, and for someone like Luka, that's gonna be huge. But besides just Porzingis, guys like Tim Hardaway, guys like Dorian Finney-Smith, especially those two, they're gonna have to step up because now the last game, what really happened is Dallas was shooting like they were so hot from the three. They were shooting 50% the first three games, and I think they just regressed. Like I think they just had a bad shooting game. But it's really gonna come down to Luka and how healthy he is, because at the end of the day, for them to win games, they need Luka to score 30 to 35 at least. So
I think they need Luka scoring 40, but I mean, some players have stepped up. I mean, other than last game, Maxi Kleber has played really well for this Mavs team.
mm-hmm.
Last game, not very well, but other than that, Maxi Kleber's really stepped up. I know we've all seen the picture of all three guys staring him down when he got dunked on, but he's
Yep.
still really stepping it up for this Mavericks team.
Yep. That's true.
I'm
But now they
starting to
got to
become
go
a
back
big
to
fan.
go ahead.
I was starting to become a big fan of Maxi Kleber. What were you gonna say?
No, I was saying, yeah, I'm a big fan of his too, but now the series goes back to LA. So Dallas has got to go again, winning one on the road again. So
Well, I'll ask you this: is Staples really home court advantage for the Clippers?
not necessarily, but
It's not Dallas. We'll put it that way.
that's there you go. And with the way Kawhi has been playing, yeah, like
I still think the Mavs can pull this one out.
oh yeah, they can possibly. Oh yeah, they have enough firepower, but it'll come down to Luka. That's really what it's going to come down to is Luka. So
It's Luka versus Kawhi this series. I think everybody knows that. We can't discredit Paul George either, though.
Yeah, I was about to say, now Paul George has been great help for Kawhi. Somebody's going to have to come to the rescue, like come to help out Luka, just like the help that Kawhi is getting. Luka's got to get that same help too. So
I really think Finney Smith is going to be that guy coming forward. I'm Finney Smith's game starting to grow on me right now.
yeah, I mean, it's going to be really interesting. It's just so, I guess, how interesting things turn, because on Friday or Saturday, you had the Lakers in position to where they were in complete control of the series, and then the Clippers were in a position to where their season was almost over. And now it's almost like 24, 48 hours later, like the script has completely flipped. So Well, injuries has definitely had an impact on these playoffs, and we'll see how what Luka is going forward. So,
Well, speaking of the Lakers, we'll jump right into that now then. The Lakers were in control of the series, and then last game, Anthony Davis goes down.
yep.
But it was still only an 8-point Suns victory. So that's really concerning for the Suns, I believe, that AD is not going to play and you're still only going to win by 8. I believe that I did read that AD was questionable for game 5. He should be
Mm-hmm.
back for game 6. So I think it's going to come down if LeBron can turn back the clock for a game
Yep.
and take control of this game 5. If LeBron, I think whoever wins this next game is going to win this series. I mean, what did you take away from the last game?
Okay, so I know it was only an 8-point game, but the Suns did take control of that game in the third quarter, and the Lakers did spend a lot of the fourth quarter playing catch up. Like, you get into that mode where you're just playing desperate and then you go on a run. So I don't take too much as far as the margin of victory is concerned, but I will say this. The thing about LeBron having to turn back the clock, that's they're going to need that. Now LeBron isn't even 100% himself, and he's 36 years old. So we're going to find out just how much he really has left in the tank. And now that Chris Paul is healthy, that really changes the dynamic for Phoenix as well. So,
I mean, would you say Chris Paul's healthy though?
I think he's a lot better. He looked a lot better in game 4 than he did in games 2 and 3. So I think I don't think he's 100% either, but I think he's right about where he needs to be, I think, for them to have a chance to win this series. So this Suns team is from top to bottom, if you look at that roster, that's a very deep team. They were the 2 seed for a reason. So without and the fact that is that this groin strain, in addition to all the other injuries that AD has suffered, I don't think it's going to be a case of, all you have to do is just miss game 5 and you'll be a full go for game 6. Growing strains, that's going to linger for a while. So, win or lose game 5, game 6, we'll see. But, AD was already dealing with the left knee sprain. He obviously has the groin. So there's a lot of things just going. Like you said, LeBron's got to turn back the clock. You're probably going to need at least 30 to 35 points, maybe even a triple-double, something along those lines. But LeBron has to dominate this game for them to win. And they're going back to Phoenix. So, and they have a home court advantage. So it's going to be interesting. It's definitely, I think that series is going to go 7 games. Whether I think they both split, but I think my gut check says the Lakers are probably going to win, only because, LeBron is just one of those players that you really don't bet against, especially that early in the playoffs. So that's kind of how I see that going.
Yeah, LeBron's never lost a first round series. I don't think he's going to start this year. I think AD won't be 100% in game 6 if he comes back. I think he'll be solid game 7 if he doesn't re-aggravate anything game 6. And that's all we really need from AD, to be solid, because we know how good LeBron is. Like, we need him to turn back the clock, but he's one of those players that can do it and will do it when he needs to. So I'm not too worried about him not turning back the clock. Now, I will say the most concerning part is Andre Drummond. They were abusing him last game. We had Marc Gasol playing a ton of minutes, and they were still abusing the paint, and it was really hard to watch. I don't think they're going to be able to do that again next game. I think Frank Vogel, we know him. He's a great defensive-minded coach. He's going to have an answer for that. I mean, I think he's a top 3 defensive coach in the league right now. I mean, hell, we had the number 1 defense without LeBron and AD for half the season.
Right.
So the man knows what he's doing. We're going to have a better game plan coming out here, and it's going to be all centered around LeBron. But the rest of the team needs to step up that energy. I don't know if you saw the clip or not of Dennis Schroeder missing the wide open layup at the end. That's something you got to make that. I mean, like, even if you are probably going to lose, but that was an 8-point lead for the Suns with a minute 48. You have a chance there, right? It's not, you don't have, it's like game's not really over. And then you're going up with some weak stuff like that. you have no chance to win. This team needs to have that fire in them that they had last year. They need to be hungry. It doesn't look like they are. Schroeder looks like he's playing pickup basketball at YMCA out there. KCP's too scared to shoot a jumper. Andre Drummond, the big penguin. We no other explanation for that. LeBron's the only one out there fighting with his heart right now, and it really shows because nobody else has 15 than him.
Well, I'm going to say this because when AD obviously AD didn't come in the third quarter. LeBron, I thought, should have been aggressive earlier. Like, I feel like I didn't like really his body language during that third quarter. So I do think he's got to bring it from start to finish. Now, what I will say is defense has never been the issue for the Lakers. The issue for the Lakers is on the offensive end and their shooting or lack thereof. Like, I know coming into the last game, they were only shooting 28% from three. So I don't know what it is now specifically, but they have got to they have got to make more shots. Like KCP, hopefully he comes back the next game. But guys like KCP, McLemore, Schroeder, when they get those open threes, they've got to hit them. Otherwise, like if their shooting is still not good, then I don't see them winning without AD. Like that's more so than LeBron. Obviously, you know LeBron, what you need from him, but their shooting as well needs to be like they need to be a lot better shooting. And now, as far as the whole LeBron turning back the clock thing, obviously he's done it in the past. The only difference is now he's obviously older and he's coming off of injury. So, well, it's a lot of dynamics. I guess we'll kind of just see how it goes. It's definitely been a very interesting playoffs overall. We'll just say. So
yeah, no, it's definitely been interesting. But another interesting thing, we'll jump into the Celtics Nets game. The Celtics just lost again, but they also took a game from the Nets, which was really interesting. I didn't see that happening. I don't think that's a big concern for the Nets, but that does show that the Nets can be beaten. Do you think the Bucks, because I believe that the Nets are going to beat the Celtics. I think everybody does. Do you think the Bucks are going to be the biggest threat for them out of any team?
Yes, in the entire league, it's the Bucks. Yes, because the Bucks have the best combination as far as offense and defense in order to beat them. Now, will they ultimately beat them? That's an entirely different question with the way the big three, at the end of the day, the Nets walk into pretty much almost every playoff series in the Eastern Conference having three of the four best players. So at the end of the day, that's going to be a tall task. And Giannis has got to bring it, obviously. Like even though they swept the Heat, so it hasn't really been a topic of concern, but Giannis didn't really play that well offensively against the Heat. And he's got to be much better, especially the Nets, their deficiency being on the defensive end. So you've got to take advantage. Like Giannis, you probably need 40. You probably need somewhere in the 35 to 40 average range as far as Giannis. So like it might be the best series of the playoffs only because you have Drew, you have Chris Middleton, you have Giannis. Obviously, you have the big three for the Nets. You have the injury to Jeff Green. When is he going to come back? The loss of DiVincenzo is huge. A lot of people don't really know. He's not really a household name, but like he's great on the defensive end. And then like he gives you a lot of those effort plays. So he was going to be a guy that they probably had to guard Kyrie or Harden. So not having him is going to hurt them. But we'll see. Now, if I had gut check right now, I would probably pick the Nets in either 6 or 7 games. But I do think that's the team. If there's a team in the NBA that could beat the Nets, I think it'd be the Bucks.
I have the Bucks in 6. I think the Bucks, their star power, it's not as high as the Nets, but they fit, I think, a lot better. Because, I mean, the Nets struggle without Harden. Harden's the glue guy there. The Bucks, Middleton misses a game. They're still a very solid team because they play so well off each other. And I'm going to argue that point about Giannis's offense. He was guarded by Jimmy and Adebayo, who are very, very top-notch defenders in this league. and he still
Right.
was pretty solid. He had over 10 rebounds, I believe, nearly every game. And even that last game, he had 15 assists. He had a triple
True.
double. I think his offense was fine, especially when you're taking up the two best defenders on that team. Your offense
Right.
is fine. And the Bucks, they've had a lot of people step up for them, especially Bryn Forbes. Bryn Forbes
Yeah,
outscored Jimmy Butler that series.
that's true.
So this Bucks team, even without Vincenzo, I'm sorry with my names.
DiVincenzo, you're good.
DiVincenzo, yeah, without him, they still have a solid bench. Bobby Portis coming off there. Bobby can drop you
Yeah.
10, 15 with 8 rebounds like it's nothing.
No,
I
that's
think
true.
he's going to be very underrated, and I think he's better than any big that the Nets have. And he's not even starting for them.
Yeah, I could say that. I mean, that's true. What I will say about the Nets. So I know on paper or the statistics in the regular season don't peg them as a great defense, which is true. I do think what the Nets are really good at is getting stops in key possessions.
That's
So
true. They
for
all step
instance,
up.
so I do, and then I know the Bucks have a lot of obviously a lot of guys that are threats. But I will say now, most of these games are going to come down to the last 3 to 5 minutes, and I trust KD, Kyrie, and Harden closing out games more so than Giannis, Middleton, and Holiday. And I know you said without Harden, he's their glue guy, but Harden is kind of one of the 5 to 10 best players in the league. So losing him as opposed to losing Middleton, I think, is kind of a different dynamic. To me, it's like comparable to the difference maybe between losing like Chris Paul or Anthony Davis or something like that. Just like there's one that's really impactful, but then there's just two that's just the level of impact to me is just not the same, in my opinion.
Well, to be fair, I mean, Harden's 2 other stars are better than I believe. I think Giannis is better than. Well, actually, you can make the argument that KD is better than Giannis,
Right?
and you can make and I think Kyrie's better than Drew. My point was, you take away Middleton, that team's still going to run. That hear me out.
Right.
Giannis and Drew will run better than just KD and Kyrie.
Yes, that's true.
And you can make an argument that KD and Kyrie is a better duo. I think the Bucks just play better off each other than the Nets do. The Nets need Harden to win. The Bucks don't need one of their 3 to be a very good factor and potentially win a game.
Right. But I will counter with this. They could lose Kyrie or KD. If you have Harden there, they still have a very good chance.
Oh, well, I will say for Kyrie, you have an argument. If KD goes down, Giannis is having a field day.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I think he's probably going to have a field day regardless. If you're, for instance, let's just say you're the Nets and you have to design a game plan. I think what you do is you guard Giannis one-on-one and you stay home to the shooters.
But the thing is, the Bucks don't need to shoot threes to beat you.
No, they don't. But I do think you need to have a lot of shooting to keep up with Brooklyn, because I think any game that you face Brooklyn, you're probably going to need at least one. Well,
let me ask you this: the Bucks have the Bucks defense will stop them from getting those shots. If the Bucks defense, I'm saying if the Bucks defense holds them, I think they can hold them to maybe 35 to 40% shooting from 3. From the field, actually. I think the Bucks defense is that capable. Okay. How good is Kyrie shooting with Drew Holiday on him?
So it's going to be a lot of switches and cross matches when it comes to these things. Now, the thing about it is, so you have overall, I think the big 3 on any given night, right around average, I think you'll probably get around 70 to 75 points from the big 3. It may be 65 one night, it may be 85 another night, but I do think just on any given night, I think you're going to get that, because the thing about it is, these are superstar offensive players. So, you can play great defense, but at the end of the day, great defense is holding them to a low percentage. So I think usually I think what you can do is I think you can limit and contain probably one, but I think that you're going to get in any given game heavy production from at least two of the three. Whether it's KD getting 35, Harden having 25, and Kyrie having 20, or whether it's one of them having 40, another having 20, like I just think they're that lethal offensively. And the thing about Kyrie, like when you watch him play, even on his bad shooting nights, a lot of it is now you play great defense, but these are like these still are some of the best isolation scores. So I do think they still generate makeable shots. But at the end of the day, you just have to make life tough on them and you live with the results. But I do think it's going to be a really good series either way. I don't see it being a mismatch either or. I do think it's probably going to be the best series of the playoffs.
I think
as far as each game. Go ahead.
I think the Nets, they're only going to have one guy producing, and that's James Harden. Giannis, he's a very underrated defender. He can guard KD. I think he can. Pretty solid can guard him. And Drew Holiday, I believe, can guard Kyrie very solidly. I think Kyrie, that he'll exploit that more than KD will exploit Giannis. I think Kyrie might get 20 and then 25 on his best nights this series. Harden, he can bully Middleton, I feel like. I think Middleton's still a very solid defender. A couple of good plays here and there, but Harden's going to have a field day. But I just don't see KD or Kyrie just going off all the time with Giannis and Drew on them.
I think so. I will say this: the Kyrie point, I think it's going to be hit or miss with Kyrie. I think KD's too lethal of a scorer to me for Giannis, because I think so. The thing about KD is now Giannis is one of the few because he matches the height, and obviously he can keep up with him. But to me, my opinion, like when you're talking about one of the two best scorers in the history of the league, I just don't see them holding KD to 25 or 20 points. Like even in the two games they played without Harden, I think I want to say KD had 42 on Giannis one game, and I don't remember what he had the other game, but it was still pretty high numbers. So I mean, I don't see them and KD for this playoffs. I know it's against Boston's defense, which isn't the same. I mean, I know he's Tatum guarding him, which isn't Giannis, but I mean, he's averaging 36 points on 50, 45, 90 this postseason. Like he's a lethal. He's the best scorer in the league. So I don't see Giannis stopping him. You slow him down maybe to like 30 points on a really bad percentage, but I just don't see it. Like,
well, yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. I think they're going to shoot bad. I don't think the points are going to be down. That's what I said. I think you can hold the Nets to shooting 35, 40%. I think you can do that. And I think they will do that. And if they're shooting that low, then you have a chance to win that game.
Yep.
And that's what the Bucks are going to have to cling to. It's going to be a great grind game down in the trenches. That's how they're going to win. Giannis needs to make his impact known in the paint. He's going to need to take the offensive big man. The Nets have like Blake Griffin. He can score a little bit. He's not very solid on defense. They're going to need him out and Claxton because Claxton cannot score that well as I think Blake can. DeAndre Jordan, he's going to bully DeAndre. DeAndre can't guard anything.
So I agree with those. I do. Claxton is a really good defender.
No, he is, but he's not a good offensive threat.
Right. But I do think so. The thing about I think what they're doing with Claxton, if you notice, he hasn't really played a lot. I think what they're doing is they're saving him for Giannis, because the thing about it is the Nets don't need to load up on offense. At the end of the day, if you have those three, or at least two of the three on the court, then you don't need all offensive players. The only thing Claxton will just need to do is catch lob passes from Harden, which he does that pretty well. Like you block shots, you protect the rim, and then you set good screens on offense and you catch lob passes. That's really as far as all they need from him. Now, the Jeff Green injury is going to be interesting because he was a player that they go to at the 5 when it's with a small ball lineup when Giannis isn't on the floor. So with him injured, you may have DeAndre Jordan minutes. They actually no, I don't even think they'll play DeAndre because I haven't even seen him at all this series. So I mean, you'll get a lot of Blake. You'll get a lot of you get a lot of Blake. You get a lot of Claxton, and you may even see KD at the 5 for some moments. But it's gonna be I'll really be looking forward to that series because it's gonna be a dog fight.
Well, if they're mixing up the 5 position, you're forgetting about somebody. Then Brook Lopez can shoot that 3 ball.
I live with that. If I'm like he was really good in Game 4, but he has not been good shooting the 3 this season.
Well, because they were playing defense on him this season because they knew he could shoot the 3 after last season.
Right. So I would say this: if Brook Lopez threes beats you, then you shake his hand and you say good game. But I mean they're gonna go one. They're probably gonna go one. I don't see them really doubling Giannis a lot. So
I think they're gonna have to do that nearly every possession.
No. I don't know. Yeah. See, the thing about great scores, or I think what you want to do one of 2 things. You either want to shut down the superstar and let everybody else beat you, or you don't let anybody beat you and let the superstars do whatever. Because I think the thing about the thing about now Braun is, like that. I don't think the teams that they face were particularly that great, but I will say this though. The with Giannis, I think you would much rather have Giannis score 40, 50 points and limit the other guys than have Giannis score 20 and 25. And then you let Bryn Forbes hit 6 threes. You let Bobby Portis hit 5 threes. You let Connaughton, you let Drew Holiday, you let all these other dudes cook. And because Giannis, he's still going to get his because he's just that good. But I think you try to slow the other guys down and let Giannis beat you. And you let Giannis try to beat you with the 3 ball. You say, you know what? You back up and you say, you know what, Giannis? Let's see what you got with that 3 ball. If you can hit it, great. If you can't, then it's going to be a long night for you because we're going to make you shoot it every single time. And Giannis has to prove that he has to be able to hit that outside shot. I don't think they can beat the Nets if he's not hitting. He has to at least somewhat hit it at, I don't know, let's say he takes about 7 or 8 threes a game. I say you got to make like 3 of them because I don't like if that's a glaring weakness that teams have taken advantage of before. And, we'll see. We'll see how that it's going to be. Well, obviously.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Yeah.
I'm really excited for that. But again, this is all the time we have for this episode. I want to thank you for coming on, Jordan.
Oh, no problem.
Definitely. Love having you on, man, and hopefully you can come on soon too.
Yeah, follow me on Twitter, guys, at JordanW1096. All right.
Go follow him. He makes better tweets than BGN. All right, take care, man.
All right, you too.